Hey, welcome back to another episode from LifeforLivingwell. My name is Richard, and the topic I have for you is a continuation of the different traits that we've been looking at for the last 3 weeks. And these are the traits that are associated with someone with a higher emotional intelligence. Because I'm looking into this topic from the point of somebody that demonstrate the higher emotional intelligence, at one point I might be able to look into the what kind of trait you should look out for someone that have a lower emotional intelligence. And all these things is something that you can work on and you can develop in yourself. Even though if you don't have it now, don't worry. It's a trait and a quality that you can work on and develop it within yourself. Because having this, there's a research that shows that someone with a high emotional intelligence, they have more chances to be more successful in their endeavors than compared with someone with a high IQ. Because with high IQ, it's mostly based on your genetics. So if you don't have it, not necessarily that you are stuck. It just means that if you can balance it with your high on emotional intelligence, you have the same chances to be more successful in anything you put your hand on. Before I start the podcast for this week, and before I talk about the traits that I would like to do this podcast on, I wanted to quickly say, if you do have to contact me or you have some query or question, please write to me at hello@lifeforlivingwell.com. And if you also want to know more about what Life for Living Well does, you can check us out on our website at www.lifeforlivingwell.com. Once again, my name is Richard, and I hope that you are all well this week. So let's get started. So what are we talking about this week? We're talking about freedom. So what can the person demonstrate the trait of freedom in their activities with themselves, with others? It is someone that actually have what I call high level of emotional intelligence. And because of this, one of the qualities you will notice with this individual is what I call freedom. And let's get started. A few people truly understood the word freedom. To some people, it's a license to do whatever they would like to do, or mostly in a self-interest activities related at the expense of others. For people that didn't fully grasp the trait of freedom-driven individuals, they seem selfish and irresponsible to others because of their actions. So often we label these kind of people they were very selfish. And that would be a big mistake, because selfishness has nothing to do with the freedoms that I'm talking about here. You will see how free they are by the time I get to the end of this podcast, and the trait you look out. Because if you say someone is this, what do you look out to know that they actually demonstrate that? So to actually know someone that demonstrates a level of emotional intelligence, one of the qualities that individual will carry with them is what I call freedom. And this is nothing to do with chasing activities on the expense of other people. They are not the people that are exploiting you or manipulating you to do what they want. So because of this, they were free to make some decisions that a lot of people might not, if they are not already developed their emotional intelligence to that level. But the true freedom is the freedom of mind, and realize that all things are interdependent upon each other in this world. Universe depends on the sun that hold it together. So imagine, without the sun hold this planet Earth, what's going to happen? It's just going to fall over each other. The water will split over the land, and the people probably be walking with their heads. But because of the role the sun took here, he hold on the planet together, and everything looks stable. So if the sun just switch off for 1 hour, imagine what's going to happen. So as sun as independent, as planet as independent, they also show how much they are interdependent. And this is where you see with the freedom, their freedoms is not separating them from the role they play as individual in society or collectively. They are not chasing freedom or chasing activities on the expense of others, or they are not looking how to exploit other people. So, the universe depends on the sun that hold it together, and at the same time is independent from each other. Being free comes with a lot of responsibility and accountability. This is where a lot of people don't seem to get. They think once I'm free to do whatever I want to do, it's none of my business how my behavior, my actions affect the planet Earth, or affect my neighbor, or affect myself, or affect my family, or affect my friend. As more I just get what I want, and that's it. So they go to the extreme of everything. But the freedom I'm talking about here, and the freedom you will notice with a person that demonstrates the high level of emotional intelligence, is the freedom that have some kind of attachment to it. And you will see by the time I finish this podcast. Being free comes with a lot of responsibility and accountability. Most people, what they hate more is taking responsibility for their own action or their behavior in anything. So they quickly have to blame somebody else. So you notice this kind of people that is either they are victim in everything. So rather empowering themselves and looking to what role they play in that. And this is where emotional intelligent people comes. They take the stock and they look into the role they play. They don't blame themselves for other people's bad behavior, and they don't feel like because of who they are, that's why I make other people treat them so bad. No. They're able to see the role they play in it. Maybe they are not assertive enough. Maybe their boundary is so poor, and they will take note of that, and then they will work on it, and they will improve this particular area of their life. And at the end, that improve their relationship. Is either that relationship come to the end, or that relationship change for good for both parties. So being free comes with a lot of responsibility and accountability, which is so far from freedom many people are chasing today. Today, everybody wants to be somebody, but in the expense of someone. Someone have to pay for it. Someone have to be affected with it. Somebody have to be. It's all the kind of freedom the media, the world preach today. Is the kind of freedom or winners take it all. That I win, you lose. There is nothing like we all win, we all lose. So this is not the kind of freedom you will notice with someone with higher emotional intelligence. So when you meet these people, you firstly see this trait in them, and this is not the kind of freedom promoted by mainstream media. So the kind of freedom you notice more in our world is freedom more to do with you win, somebody else lose. Or you use some people to maximize your own profit and wealth, and then you pay them peanuts. This is not the kind of freedoms that I'm talking about. So this kind of freedom is the freedom of mind, behavior, taking stock for your own actions and thoughts. Authentic freedom is fearless, accountable, and allow others to have similar freedom without denying them to choose, to reason, to feel, and evolve. Most people often avoid the responsibility that are attached to freedom. And this is the difference between someone that have higher emotional intelligence and someone that have a lower emotional intelligence. You will never be able to see someone with higher emotional intelligence see themselves as a victim in some of the activities that they involve or happen to them. This is not so. If you haven't developed this trait, the good news is that you can work on this thing. It's not genetic. You don't have to be born with a higher level of emotional intelligence. Most things we can learn it, we can grow it, we can work on it, we can look for friends or professional or things that can help us to grow this particular side of us. So you see it in relationships where people attachment style with their personality traits come out so strong and have the impact that they didn't expect. But with emotional intelligence, you will know when to speak, when to quiet. You will know when to go in or when to come out. You will also know when to look into the role you play without oversensitive about it. So let's look at the few traits of a person with freedom concept and how we can achieve it. So how did these people demonstrate that freedom is what I'm trying to illustrate in this podcast. So I only focus on just three. There's a few of them, but I focus on three because of the time that I wanted to limit this podcast to less than 20 minutes. Number one, decision making and taking responsibility. Their decisions making is free from controlling, manipulating others, and above all, in line with their values and ethics. So this is where accountability and responsibility comes. Most people, when you try to figure out what is behind their action, you will see that it's either it's being driven by fear, it's being driven by security, it's being driven by competitiveness, and these are more attached with individual feeling what they want, not necessarily what they need and how it benefit them or benefit anyone around them, just them alone. But with the freedom that attached with higher emotional intelligence, it's totally two different things. It was driven based on values. So their values could be independent, their values could be helpfulness, their value could be solidarity, their value could be support. So they could have values that it's not just benefit them alone, it benefit all being. So I talk about ethics, and ethics can be subjective and based on the environment and how you are brought up in the house. But these people have managed to refine respect for life. So it's anything that they're going to do and it contradicts this thing, they have a trouble to carry on doing it. So currently this has been a massive challenge for the world, that we no longer seem to value this kind of trait like it used to be. And I think that like a cloth, like a style, like a design, it might not be right now, but I see it that one day, one time, this might be the thing that people will be sorting and seeking again in order to experience peace in their mind. Number two, they are not afraid to say no. And you say this is the area that a lot of people will need to work more, especially when they wanted to be part of a group or have kind of thing. It's really difficult for them to speak their truth because they do not want to hurt the people that they spend time with or hurt the expectation or the image that they created for those people. So they suffer in silence. You will not see this with someone with higher emotional intelligence and someone that demonstrates a level of freedom that I'm talking about here. This is self-explanatory because their life is governed with certain values. They are obliged to be truthful to themselves and others. The last one, set yourself and others free. They value their freedom. They never seek to deny others the same freedom. So these are not the people that will take your freedom away because it's something that they value a lot. Even though if they don't agree with you, with how you arrive to the conclusion or what is motivating you, they are not the person that will condemn or judge you because they respect your free will. And your free will is something nobody can take away from you. Like Viktor Frank said in his book, Man's Search for a Meaning, that you can take everything from a man, but one thing you cannot take away from him or her is his free will. And every one of us have that, and that's the beauty of life. Because there's someone that's so difficult to stay with today, they have a free will to change that. And if they do change that, you will have missed amazing opportunity if you line the line when that person actually transforms themselves. So, as you listen to this podcast this week, I hope that if you already have this, I hope you continue to improve it and working on yourself. And if you haven't, don't worry. It's something that you can work on and you can develop it. And Daniel Goleman book talk a lot emotional intelligence. You can start from there by getting yourself a copy on Amazon and try and read it, and you will find some practical and guide that you can find there. Or you can just find a blog that wrote and put a lot of resources online that can help you to develop these skills. And I think, especially right now, one of the things that I feel and I think like individuals should work on is to work and continue to develop their emotional intelligence. It will help a lot to handle a lot of chaos that's going on outside of you and go on inside of you. And I hope this podcast helps. So finally, how to develop this trait. You will have to take responsibility for actions, thoughts, and behavior you generated in your endeavor. So don't be the person that always pointing finger to other people that everything that happened to you, 100%, it happened because of the other people. With this kind of thinking, it will be difficult to develop your emotional intelligence. And I hope this podcast helps someone this week. Have an amazing week. Like I said before, if you do like to write to us, you can write directly to hello@LifeforLivingwell.com, or you can check us out more on our website at www.LifeforLivingwell.com. Have an amazing week, and I hope to see you next week. Stay safe. Thank you.